All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Um, as you see, my camera is off, and that's for several reasons. One, I'm traveling right now, and two, I don't feel my best. So I don't want to interrupt the Wi-Fi by turning on video. Um, and you don't want to see me. I look a little crazy because I feel a little sick. But I'm so happy to see all of you. I want to quickly just tell you all about Hustle. Welcome you to the new year. I know Jackie has a lot going on in her area, but I want her to speak a little bit about her open house if she don't mind, and then we'll jump into today's presentation. So I am Magali Ascent. I am the executive director for Hustle Winston-Salem. We are a nonprofit that focuses on inclusive entrepreneurship. And we offer this particular program, Marketing Outside the Box, just about every single week, same day, same time, on Zoom. At some point this year, we'll return to in-person, we hope. But for now, the way Omicron or whichever version we're in, Florona and all these other variants are, we are not doing it virtual. We're not doing it in person until then. So a quick history about Marketing Outside the Box, because I do see some new names. About 3-4 years ago, we did a community survey of entrepreneurs and small business owners, asking them their greatest need, and marketing was overwhelmingly the number one need that people needed assistance with. We used to do Marketing Outside the Box once a month, and then we switched it to twice a month, and then it became every week, because that's how much the need was. And the way we run Marketing Outside the Box is we try to provide you with bite-sized pieces of information each week for the overall topic. And as you know, today's topic is money and marketing. We're focusing on you budgeting, creating your marketing budget, figuring out the best way for you to operate with your small business in that way. We have a wonderful presenter with us, Tony Barnes from Building the Boss. So she will have some great information to share with us. But before I hand it over to her, I do want Jackie to tell us about her open house. The rest of you, unfortunately, we never have enough time for everyone to introduce themselves. So I encourage you to use the chat function. And for those on Facebook, use the comment section and tell us who you are, tell us about your business, and we'll definitely follow you if you drop your social media. But Jackie, if you can go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your open house.
So my name is Jacqueline Morgan, and I am the nutrition and fitness owner at Achieving Your Wellness Nutrition and Fitness. We are at 4015 Old Hollow Road in Kernersville. And with Achieving Your Wellness, you will not leave the same way you came in. We have a smoothie bar here. We have group fitness, yoga. So we'll be adding stuff. This is just my soft opening, just for people to see the spot. Alan Younger just left here because I am a business mentor with one at the Foresight Tech Small Business Center. He just left here and went live. And so my grand opening, my actual grand opening, and I'll put the address in the chat. My actual grand opening is March the 12th. So you come by here today, tomorrow. I'm here from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. today and tomorrow. You come by here tomorrow, post on social media, you get $2 off your purchase. Thank you, Magali, for the opportunity, and I will put everything in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I will hand it over to our presenter for today. I see some of you introducing yourselves in the chat. I love that. But Tony, go ahead and take it away.
Hi guys, good afternoon. I can't believe we are already in the second week of 2022. So before I get started with the actual presentation, I would love if we could utilize the chat, or if people feel uncomfortable unmuting themselves and letting me know kind of what you hope to get out of this series, any fears or lessons you've learned when it comes to money and marketing. And while I listen for that and look for that, I will share the presentation. Any takers?
Tony, I can share something. There are some things in the chat, but I can share something really quick. When we at Hustle work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, one of the biggest things that we see is the marketing budget tend to be extremely small compared to their overall budget.
Okay. Y'all, if you see me looking down, I take notes, okay? Because I would like to really give you information that you can utilize. So with that, and any information shared here today, it is to improve the series and get y'all to where y'all need to go. Because my business is called Building the Boss. I'm trying to build you up, your business, your brand, all of the things, okay?
And Russ shared spend strategically. So I'm not sure if that's fear, if that's a positive, but the comment was spend strategically.
Okay.
And Kimberly says, my question is, what are the best avenues when having a small budget outside of referrals?
All right. So I cover a little bit of that today, and then I can get a little, bring a little more to you next week as well. All right. So if that is it, and please feel free to unmute yourself, ask questions in the chat, all of the things. Yes. So let's get started. So today is kind of like marketing budget 101. Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of statistics, give you a little process to follow, pre-steps before we get into the actual steps, just like the bare bones basics for next week, so we can actually build a budget next week. Yo. Okay, here we go. There we go. So the overall objective of today, this session, is to understand your marketing money so you can use it to help grow your business. That's what I want for you, no matter the size. So stages of forming a budget, specifically a marketing budget. Step one is to organize. This is planning and organizing your business goals and finances, okay? We cannot create a budget without organizing our finances. I know it's not pretty, I know it's not fun, but it's necessary, all right? Next is to allocate, okay? So this is where we strategize and determine how much is going where. How much we're gonna put here, how much we're gonna put over there, for this effort, that effort. And then also in allocate is the execution process, okay? And the last step is to assess. So this is where we review and evaluate our budget, the data that comes with the budget, how much, the return on investment, all of those things, plus any analytics when it comes to the online platforms that you're using. And then it's time to adjust what's necessary. A budget is flexible. A budget is just kind of like, this is how I see it going. Doesn't mean that's how it's gonna go, So when it comes to organizing, some of the questions that you need to answer is, what was your revenue last year? Okay, if you're starting this year, that's fine. So your revenue was 0, and that's fine, okay? And then how much of that revenue was spent on marketing efforts? Next would be, what forms of marketing did you execute last year? Okay, so we're kind of doing a little funnel here. What was the revenue? How much did you spend last year on marketing? And then kind of put it in groups of what forms of marketing did you use? Did any of that need any funds to do those? And then finally, how much revenue do you want to commit to marketing efforts this year? Okay. And we'll break the last section down a little later in the presentation. So very start, after you've done that, you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I get a little, Zoom lets me know my audio is messing up, so I just want to know. So after you've done the organization part of kind of, all right, this is how much I made last year. This is how much I kind of spent on money last year. Did I spend any money on marketing last year? How much was that specifically? Once all that, you have that, let's look at our business goals for 2022, okay? This is not necessarily related to marketing. You might have some specific marketing goals in there, but overall, what do you want to accomplish this year with your business? You need to know that before you can form any type of marketing budget at all. Okay, so with this, I want to give an example, which I kind of had a little fun with. This is Cheryl. Cheryl's Style is her business. It's a styling firm. She does a little seamstress thing on the side, you know. And so with her business, she was in business last year. And this year she wants to contract a marketing assistant. She was just like, doing marketing was extremely too much for me. I need a little help over here. I want to do that this year. I want to hire. Next is the other business goal she has is she wants to make $250 in profit. Okay, not revenue, but in profit. She said she wants to be a six-figure lady. Okay. 3 is to write and self-publish a styling book. She wants to build her authority. She wants to be nationally and possibly globally known. So she thinks one way to do that is to create a book. Next, she wants to attend 5 global fashion shows. And lastly, she wants to gain 24 new virtual styling clients. Okay, she a busy girl. Yes, Angela. Angela Johnson, your hand's raised. Okay. Well, if you feel comfortable, unmute yourself and we can discuss. So Miss Cheryl is busy. She says she's willing to put in the work to get this done. Those are her business goals, okay? So next, after we have our business goals, we're gonna move into conversion, okay? So from these business goals, are any of them direct, specific, or specific to marketing? Okay, are any of them directly to marketing goals? Hey, Angela.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, question for you. So you're saying building a market. Now, are you going by your personal budget, or are we talking business credit? I mean, because some of us don't have that personal money to be able to do so much of the marketing. And this is just my suggestion that business credit has helped me with my marketing as opposed to my personal credit.
So yes. So even if you're a sole proprietor, I'm just suggesting that you allocate money to your business, even if that's coming from your personal funds, your own income, and keeping that separate. And so I do hear you. I'm writing that down, business credit. But some people can't get business credit, or it's difficult to get business credit, or it's just not smart for their business specifically to get business credit. But yes, as long as you have a good strategy in place, and you're getting a return on your investment, whether that's credit or your own personal money, I think that's great. And I appreciate you offering that suggestion to people.
Yeah, because I had gotten the business credit like right away once I applied for becoming a
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? I didn't hear.
She went out for me as well, Tony.
Okay. Angela?
I mean, they're giving out as little as $500, but that could help with some type of marketing, if anything.
I'm sorry. So I just heard what the last piece the last piece that you said. Could you back it up?
What I was saying is that not only do we have like the Equifax and the Experian for our personal credit, but we also have Equifax and Experian and Dun & Bradstreet for our business credit. And they are looking for small businesses to give that money to. They allocate this money to small businesses.
Okay, awesome. If you could drop that resource in the chat for everybody. I do want to just caution everyone, credit is something that needs to be paid back. So please be smart about what you invested in.
And if
but
I can add something, Tony.
Mhm.
So Angela, I think one of the first things I want to communicate is here for Marketing Outside the Box, we're always talking from a business perspective, not necessarily from your personal finances. However, what Tony stated is correct. Some businesses, especially newer businesses, they are pulling from their personal finances to help fund their business, but they still keep that separate. They show that that's the source of revenue. You know what I mean? That it's coming from them or a family member or whomever. But we're talking strictly today, and anytime you're here, we're talking strictly from a business perspective. That's the first thing that I want to share. And then the second thing that I want to communicate is when you're talking about business credit, you know, that goes exactly to what Tony is sharing. Like, create your goals, create the strategy. And if your strategy means that you are getting credit to fund your marketing efforts or your business efforts, that's fine. But organizing it and figuring out creating that strategy is why we're talking about that today. So hopefully that's helpful.
Excellent. Okay. So next would be conversion. After we have our business goals, right, with our example with Ms. Cheryl, we're going to convert those business goals, if possible, into marketing goals. Now, are there any specific ones? Now, sorry to go back and forth, but number one, Cheryl Styles' first business goal is to contract a marketing assistant. That to me is a direct marketing goal, right? Because it's going to come from our marketing budget if possible, because it's contract work, it's not hire. So that one's direct. Now, the other ones, if possible, need to be converted into a marketing goal, right? So what business goals can be converted into marketing goals? Okay, and I'll break this down a little later in the presentation. Right now, actually. Cheryl's conversions, like I said, the marketing assistant is a specific marketing goal. Okay, she's contracting works, so it's not a hire, there's no payroll involved. It can come straight from her marketing budget. She needs to decide how much it will cost her to execute this goal, or if she's saying like, I'm only going to spend this amount of money on contracting a marketing assistant, then that's what needs to happen, and that's what she's going to stick to. Okay, now when it comes to her book, she needs this book in the hands of people who want to read it and also be willing to pay for it. Okay, so if she gets a whole bunch of high schoolers who are interested in being a designer one day, that's all grand and fine. You know, she can probably donate one to the public library, but she wants this to help her build her authority. So people who are actually looking for books like this to purchase and buy. And then finally, I would say her goal of converting or getting 24 new clients. I think this is a very simple, direct conversion. Okay, from her marketing, she can create content and then possibly ads that can get her these 24 new clients. That is a direct conversion of her goal into a marketing goal. Does that make sense to everybody? I don't hear any objections, so I'm going to move forward. Okay, so this is just a reminder of where we're at. So now that we have organized a little bit, planning and organizing business goals and finances, okay, don't forget the finances at the beginning. Then we're going to allocate, we're going to strategize and determine. So before we do that, I want to drop a little research on you. So there is this thing in small business called the 5% rule. And that is when small businesses do spend an average of 2 to 5% of their revenue on marketing efforts. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if you say your business makes $50,000 in revenue, that means over that course of time, whether that's a year, 6 months, over that course of time, you should have spent between $1,000 and $2,500 for marketing. Okay. Now, something that is interesting is when small businesses have the objective to grow and scale, that 5% rule turns into something around 10%. Okay, so literally double. So it's all about, one, what you want, and then two, what you can handle. Okay, so while it might sound great and good to grow an empire overnight, that is a lot of capacity that is needed, and a lot of stress, honestly, if you are a one-person, two-person team. Okay. So now these are corporations, but I just wanted to show you, it's still not that far off from the 5% rule when you really think about it, like energy, manufacturing, transportation, right there in that 5 to 10%. Now, what I really want to point out is the consumer packaged goods, right? That is largely different. That's almost 10% different than the consumer service, the second one. Does anybody want to guess why?
I could try to guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming because the consumer packaged goods marketing budget would include actual, I don't know if it's printing costs or things of that nature where they actually have products to, I don't know what I'm trying to say. And someone said in the chat, advertising.
Advertising. So I would say advertising is involved in all of them, but that is a great guess. So it is because when you have a packaged good, consumers, you are still marketing in the actual package, right? Also, depending on if it's online versus in personal, if you're shipping it, there's things that you might put in that box, right? That could be considered kind of like tangible marketing, like a flyer, I know a lot of TikTok people do like stickers.
That's what I was trying to communicate.
Okay. Yes. So that increases it because that's not something that they paid for. You're just trying to give them an overall better experience with your product, with your business, with your service. So if you have packaged goods, consider that. Consider like maybe I can up my experience, my customer's experience. If I'm shipping it to them, can I put a little something extra in there that they're not expecting? And you need to budget for that. Okay. So now we've learned about the 5% rule. Okay. We learned about, if depending on industry, that could fluctuate. Now, what I showed you was corporations, larger corporations, not small businesses, but you see the difference. We're all the way down here at 4% versus 24%. That's a 20% difference. Okay. So what I really want you to take away from it is, one, if you sell packaged goods, factor in the experience of your customers. But then also, I want you to take away that depending on your industry, that 5% rule can fluctuate. So that being said, it is now time to remember your customers, okay? All this does go into your marketing plan and your marketing budget, because depending on where they are, depends on what you pay for, depending on what kind of content they enjoy, again, depends on what you create, which also has money, depending on what you create. How many interactions does it take before they're ready to buy? Okay, that adds up. If they need to come to your website, and you need to pay a Google ad to get them to your website, but they need to go to your website 3 times before they actually okay, I'm ready to buy that. Then that adds. Okay, so that means that you possibly need to put out social media content plus possibly 2 different ads to entice them to go to your website and then entice them to buy. Then it's, do they shop online? Okay. Shopping online, you need to maintain a website. You need to have an engaging website that costs money. And then do they utilize website or social media in their customer experience? Do they value both? Do they only care about social media? I'm just going to buy straight from Instagram. What are their habits? You need to know these things when you're coming up with your content, when you're coming up with your marketing plan to come up with your budget. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So One thing I want to know is cheap could cheat you. All right. If money is tight, and I understand that it is, we are small businesses. We've probably been in business 1 to 5 years, or we're starting up. Okay, we ain't got money to be spending. I understand that. But it's not to take the cheap route where I'm just going to do social media ads on every single platform. Maybe if money is tight, we need to focus on one thing. Would you rather have one customer from all social media platforms or 100 customers from Facebook? Because you took the time, one, to learn it, to understand it, and then operate correctly. Okay. So when it comes to your options, okay, the things that could cost money, we have the tangible, which is flyers, promotional items such as pins, cups, things that you would give away to entice people to want to know about your company, purchase from your company, have an experience with your company. We have billboards, all of the things that are usually traditional marketing. Then we have online. This is everything I know social media is online, but I'm excluding social media. So everything is online that's excluded social media, such as advertising campaigns through Google, through Bing, through all these other different websites. You have your actual website, okay? A lot of small businesses, I have noticed, they use their website kind of as like a landing spot, right? Instead of using it as a marketing tool. Okay, your website should sell for you if you have something to sell, of course. Now, if you're just somebody that's a speaker and you just want people to know more about your business or your service as a speaker, then yes, maybe you do just need a landing page for a website. But if you have a website and you're selling something such as a service or product, your website should sell for you, and you should budget for that so that it does. If you're not good with copying, then you should have a copyright. You should hire a copywriter for your website so that it can sell for you. Blogging, okay? People read articles. I think it's up to 84% is the statistic I read of people read 2 to 3 articles to make a decision. You want your business to offer one of those articles and hopefully entice them to purchase from you, okay? Then everything, social media is the rest. So platforms, paid ads, contracted help. And with contracted help, I mean, you know, if you hire a copywriter specifically for your captions, if you hire a photographer, if you hire a videographer, if you hire the marketing assistant like Miss Cheryl, okay? All of that is contracted help under social media. People usually specialize in those kind of things, okay? Now, do you have any questions so far? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so with the business of Miss Cheryl Styling, she has the goal, and this is just one of her goals, right, of 24 new virtual clients. Okay, and she decides for this goal, or not for this goal, overall, she's going to allocate 5 to 8% of her revenue to this goal. I mean, to her business, to her marketing business. Okay, so 5 to 8%. She's looking more towards 8 because she's ambitious with her goals this year. She had 5 of them. So she's willing to sacrifice that extra 3% and put it towards her business. Okay. She's decided, because she's a stylist, you know, fashion's visual, she's going to be on Pinterest and Instagram because they display her skills. And her Pinterest is actually going to lead people back to her website. And she has a website that sells for her. Okay. Yes, Magley?
Are you saying the 5 to 8% is for this one particular goal, or is that her overall marketing?
Her overall budget. I'm sorry. Her overall budget. She's going to, the lowest is 5%, but she's shooting to do 8% of her revenue towards her marketing budget. Okay, so she's gonna be on Pinterest and Instagram. Okay, because she had that goal of 250,000 in profit, right? So she wants to get the biggest bang for her buck. So she's going to be on the visual platforms. Pinterest and Instagram is usually where her customers are. And she's going to have Pinterest taking people back to her website. Okay. Then she's going to have a quarterly sale on her services, and she's going to use paid social media ads to promote that, right? Which will also, again, take her back to her business. And then she is going to open a referral program, which does cost money. It's not that she's paying, but she does need to budget for it. A referral program that encourages her clients to share to potential clients. Okay. So I want to do this again to another one of her goals. So does anybody want to take a stab at the dark on breaking down possibly ways that she can promote her book once she's ready to start marketing it? Anybody? Are we just not into fashion? I'm cool.
I'll try.
Okay.
So her plan that she needs to budget for to promote her book, I think, from a marketing perspective, would include I think there needs to be Google ads.
Hold up, you're breaking up. What do you say? Hello? Okay, we lost her. All right. So I did hear Google ads for sure. Again, going back to online, that's not social media. She could also do Amazon ads and Apple ads. Those are two platforms that are good for selling books as well. And then obviously she can just integrate it into her plans with her 24 new clients of doing paid ads on Pinterest and Instagram. There we go. So reason I bring this up is before we can actually get down to the numbers, get down to the nitty gritty, we need to know where we're starting and where we want to go, okay? And that includes coming up with different strategies. That includes coming up with like, okay, these are the two platforms I'm going to focus on, or this is the one platform I'm going to focus on. This is how much money I can really afford to give to people. Give to the marketing. We need to know all of this before we can start typing away at numbers. All right. Now, every marketing decision you make should have a return on investment. Now, when it comes to organic marketing, which means you're creating, or I guess it's more of organic content, but you're creating content that displays your business, that entices people to join you, but you're not paying for it to be anywhere. Okay, so you're not paying Amazon to promote it. You're not paying Google to put it at the top of their search section. You're not paying for it. That return on investment can be longer. It could take longer. Not to say that there isn't one, right? So it could take longer. That does not mean that you shouldn't invest in that. If you can afford to do that long investment, right? I would say hire the photographer, hire the videographer. They're going to produce quality content that has a probability of getting you or getting that content viewed by more people and on a larger scale. It might be worth it. But we need to know all of these things and have a plan in place before we can say, okay, I can afford to hire that photographer just for this campaign, but I can afford to hire them. Okay. Okay. So let me see. Small budgets. So
Did you see my
go.
comments in the chat, Tony?
No, ma'am. I can't see the chat. Let me see. Okay, that's service. Sorry. Oh, tangible launch. Oh, like a launch event. Love it. Website, dedicated page. Absolutely. Google ads, social media. So Facebook page for the book, TikTok drops of content, IG promotions. Love it. Tangible Barnes and Noble ads, and then internet, Amazon ads. Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually love, I mean, I'm not surprised because it's Mackley, but the launch event. Because that's something, if you plan for it well, you can do that. And in our last series for this year, we could probably even look at maybe there's a grant opportunity with that. You know, there's other ways to afford your marketing without you coming out of pocket for it, whether it's your personal money or your business coming out of pocket. So let me see what's going on. Okay. And so when it comes to the actual cost, I know Pinterest has done an upgrade. I don't know if y'all have seen, but you can now be an influencer on Pinterest. Okay. So that's another thing that we would want to plan for. Okay. People have made entire cooking shows on Pinterest now. I love them, but there's entire cooking shows. They're a food blogger and they are now hosting their own shows on this social media platform. Cheryl decided to do the same thing. She decided to do make you look better in 60-second show on Pinterest. That's going to direct people towards her website. If she invested in her website or does a specific page, such as Mackley said, possibly for her book, she can do it for this ad. Then that'll direct them towards purchasing, which gets her closer to her 24 new virtual clients, which gets her closer to another goal of hers of 250K for profit in the year. All right. So next would be to execute. Now, next week, I'm going to have a budget that hopefully we can fill out in person. I'll give you guys some tips and tricks on actually coming through and like putting numbers in the template. I'm excited for next week. But does anybody want to share possibly one of their business goals and we can help strategize marketing for them, for themselves and their business? Anybody else? I'm gonna start picking on somebody. Shannon Brooks. Okay. What about Anna? Hey, Shannon.
Hey, I was trying to come off of video and mute and everything else. I don't know what I'm over here doing. I didn't see my face, so that's why I didn't think you could see me.
How are you? Good to
I'm good.
see.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. So, what's the business goal that you have this year?
Oh Lord. Hold on. Let me see here. To be honest, I don't really do all the goals setting. I'm just gonna be honest. My thing is what worked for me in 2021 is what I'm gonna continue to do come 2022, and just try to,
Okay.
try that. And what didn't work in 2021, I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm not even gonna try to mess with it. I don't do that's my weakness. Let me work on it. I am 45. I am beyond trying to work on a weakness. I just let somebody else take care of that, and I go on about my business.
Do you mind sharing some things that worked and some things that didn't?
Sure. I think some of the things that worked for me was definitely doing more virtual events. And I think also, let's see, yeah, I did more virtual events, networking events, joining different social networking groups. Had, a lot of, success with that, with, new appointments, especially with being able to do things outside of North Carolina. And so that pretty much, worked for me. I think some of the things that probably didn't work for me is trying to do things that I'm just not comfortable with doing. I mean, I know you're supposed to evolve and you're supposed to always, be willing to, to try new things and do new things, but I'm by myself. I don't, have a team. I don't have, a marketing team. I don't have any of that. Everything I do, whether it's the insurance side of things, the financial side, the credit education side, is all me. So
Now
if,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so, I guess with doing all of that, trying to fit into places I just didn't like, think I fit into, trying to do things that I just didn't like doing or just wasn't comfortable with doing.
Yes.
I'm just not willing to, not saying I'm not willing to change, but, like case in point, somebody said, well, why don't you invest in getting leads, or why don't you invest in something to doing cold calls? I'm like, the devil is a lie. I would never pick up the phone and call somebody that I do not know. That's just not going to happen. I don't care how successful the person is, will not do that. So I just learned, like, whatever didn't work for me and what I didn't like doing, I just didn't do it. I'm just like, I just put it to the side. If I find somebody that's in my industry and that's their strength and they can do it, I'm like, well, here you go. You can have it. You can, you do it. And you let me know how it work out for you.
I actually think that's a great point. Marketing is about like trial and error, one, and figuring out what works for you in your business versus what doesn't. So, I mean, I applaud you for knowing that and sticking to that. Now, I do have some questions. The virtual events, were you hosting them or were you attending them, or a little bit of both?
Kind of both, but more so just attend them.
Attending. And because you were there, it was kind of like the networking that you were explaining of. People noticed you and everything that happened. Okay. And so for this year, you plan on continuing that?
Yes.
Of attending, or are you gonna host them?
I mean, I had thought about trying to host a few. I don't really like hosting. I just I like just attending. I'd rather somebody else telling me, it's your turn to speak, or go in this breakout room, or whatever. My introvertedness just won't let me be great at times. So, trying to host something, oh gosh, that takes everything out of me. I have to go lay down afterwards and stay in the bed for 2 days.
Yes. But do you speak at sessions? Okay. So, I mean, I know you say you don't have goals or whatever, but it'd be nothing for you to put a number to that and be like, okay, I'm going to attend 3 virtual events a quarter, and I would want possibly 6 leads out of that. Like that's if you wanted to, you know what I'm saying? And then with that, you could even reach out to some of those virtual events to see if you could do a session. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Magdalene, you have your hand raised? I'm not sure.
Can you hear me?
Kind of.
I can barely.
What about now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Shannon, you know I'm about to yell at you. I'm about to yell. I because marketing has to me.
You're
You're
breaking
not
up.
gonna create
You're breaking
marketing
up.
goals.
Your yelling is in vain. I can't hear you.
Okay, I'll wait till you can hear me.
Okay, go ahead.
You're not gonna come to marketing outside the box and tell me you're not gonna have marketing goals. Unacceptable.
Well, no, I take it back. I do have like, what I do as far as like, if I'm going to market something, like I got in my calendar. I mean, I can't see myself on the on here, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking stupid right now or not, but I've got my calendar right here. If anybody can see me, I've got all my things written down. Like, so I try to make sure I come in and I do that. When I say about like, like setting up all these goals, I just don't believe in doing, a whole lot of extra that I just know for a fact that I'm just not going to do. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to do this, and this, and I know for a fact I'm not going to do it.
I got you. I got you. Well, make sure that you're at the third session of this series. In that session, we are focusing on some of the ways that you, as the business owner, don't have to do that in creating the budget to get some help around that. Okay. So just make sure that you are here because I'm going to call you later. Tony, there was a comment in the chat from Denise that says, my business goal is to introduce my brand presence and increase sales. And Anna, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, she also sent you a message in the chat.
Okay, I see it. Thank you. I'm sorry. I have it so I can see everybody right now, so it was blocking out the chat. So let's get to Denise. So yes, Shannon, I would encourage you to one, do what works for you, absolutely. And yes, come back for the third one. We will be talking about hiring help and what to look for. But I mean, like I said, just if you already are attending event, it'd be nothing to just, add a number to it and put expectations on it of, okay, I'm going to this event. I want 6 leads out of here. I think that's something that wouldn't be that hard, but that's my opinion. My goal.
I told y'all I'm introverted now. My introvert won't let me be great to do everything, something to pull up on the scene of a virtual call without leaving early.
I hear you. Okay. All right.
I tried because you said it. I try.
Yeah, okay.
I'll try.
Denise Turner said, my business goal is to introduce my brand presence and increase sales. Awesome. Denise, I would encourage you to put some quantifying goals in there. Like, what do you mean by increased sales? Is there a dollar amount to that? Is there a number to that? And then my brand presence, where specifically? With who? Those things will help you come up with a marketing plan. Like when you answer those questions, come up with a marketing plan, and then we can really get into the numbers of what the budget means. Hey.
So I should just go back and just change this a little bit. So the business goal is to not only introduce the brand, but it was also to increase the brand presence. That's really what that sentence was trying to state. I just revised it and didn't complete that sentence correctly. But anyway, the overall arching goal, of course, is just to increase the sales. I do have a online presence where I have Facebook account, Instagram. I just did Pinterest, and it's challenging because it is a fairly new business, and it was developed like the last quarter of last year. So being the online strategist, being the designer, posting all this stuff out, also reaching out to people and the marketing. It's been a little bit overwhelming when you really just want to focus on the more of the business aspect of it behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So just being out on social media is really a stretch for me because it's so time intense, and IG is not what IG was 5 years ago.
It wasn't. It wasn't even what it was 2 months ago.
I'm just shocked, you know. So there's so many things that you have to understand in order to really be, you know, look very savvy in what you're doing. So that definitely it's definitely been a challenge just because of the learning curve has been very steep. But yes, with respect to like putting some quantifiable goals or items around each of the goals, it would be like the posting, even on social media. I think the algorithm states for you to be effective, you need to post 3 times a day. And that's just not going to happen. But what I commit to is, you know, 3 times a week, or maybe 4 times a week, maybe once a day I can get up to. So it's slow, but I'm progressing to get that way. And also the sales part of it, you know, you don't want to come across salesy. So just learning and researching, how do you, you know, not only become more of a leader in the industry that you're in, but don't sound salesy, you know.
What's your business?
It's an online boutique. It's an Etsy online boutique called Self-Conscious Designs, and it deals with self-care and mental wellness. And so everything is geared towards that. Okay.
So while I hear you, and I encourage everybody to go out and get their accounts on each social network, I really do encourage you to just do one. I mean, while a year can be short, it can also be long. You know what I'm saying? There's 4 quarters in a year. And if you focus on the first platform for the first quarter, you can get a routine down. You can understand the posting and what the algorithm likes for your specific business, because they can be choosy sometimes, you know. Then you can go second quarter and start with a new platform while you're still maintaining that other one. Also, what'll save you time, money, is truly understanding your customer and their behavior, you know, because you said you're on Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram?
Pinterest is fairly new, and what I've understood is that Etsy and Pinterest work very well together, but primarily I'm on Instagram.
You're on Instagram. So with self-care, I would say, yeah, Instagram and Pinterest would be good. And even if you want to just Pinterest focus, because that's where Pinterest is a social platform, which, like I said, they're rolling out new things to be more like influencer friendly. But there's still a search algorithm. There's still a search thing. So people are not only searching, now they have it so you can buy on Pinterest as well. And now you have it so you can be an influencer, you know? So if you wanted to, I'm just suggesting, if you want to focus on that and really understand that, that could also help you when you go into Instagram, because Instagram did a whole flip flop trying to compete with TikTok. And so still though, with the quantifiable goals, so it could be with Pinterest, you know, maybe I'll post stories every single day behind the scenes, just one 60-second video, you know what I'm saying? That'll be quantifiable. That'll hopefully get your brand awareness so increasing, and then potentially lead to sales. But yes, we want to deeply understand our customers, because it will save us money.
I think at this point, I'm still trying to, even though I have listed what the characteristics of the customer would be, it's just reaching out to them and making that connection. Yes. Still trying to develop the followership.
And are you said clothing, right? Okay. I would try different types of clothing marketing, right? So there's some people, you can go on Nordstrom, I love their marketing. Also, I think Express, they use a lot of video to show how the clothes move, to show what the clothes feel like and look like. Then every clothing brand has somebody, or every fashion brand, let me say, has somebody wearing that, whether that's you, whether that's a mannequin. People want to see what it looks like in real life. You can do that kind of marketing. You can do like close-ups, like it's made out of this material. You can even do this is why I made this. This is what this means to me, you know?
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So Rachel wanted to know the name again, Denise, of your
I'll
company.
post it. Thank you.
Okay. And then Kimberly said, what sometimes helps is to take time to create all your content in one day and then schedule it for the rest of the week, then just engage. It's still a lot of work. Yes. But batch content is great. And then, like I said, sometimes if you can afford it, I know we're dealing with small businesses. I'm the same way, but if you can afford it or possibly barter with another small business or another photographer or videographer, you know, and you guys just set a day such as to do batch content, you know, set a day in exchange for clothes or in exchange if you have another talent and then you offer me, I get this amount of photos, this kind of thing. You gotta do what you gotta do, bootstrapping, you know. So next week, we are going to create an actual budget with a template, and it'll break down, and then a breakdown of how to assess it throughout the year. Because while it's a budget, right, and I want us to be as realistic as possible, it's still a matter of things could change. Okay, we could have made a budget in 2020, January 2020, and by March, that budget would have had to change, you know? So we're gonna assess how to break it down and possibly tweak it and all those things. I'm gonna provide you with a template. So what I want for you guys to do is really look at what you guys did last year. I don't care if you just started your business January 1st of this year, then you would be starting at $0, but we're starting somewhere. And also your goals and how we can convert that into marketing specific goals. Okay. All that will help for next week. I see a chat. Let me see. But does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? No? All right. Well, I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with next week. And then again, Miss Cheryl will be back with her styling company to help us through it all. But if there isn't any questions, I think I'll pass it back to Magdalene maybe. You guys can contact me at Building the Boss I'm on all platforms, I think, except, yeah, I'm on all platforms. I'll say except for TikTok, but I'm on there, y'all. We don't touch that. Okay, yeah.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank
Thank you all. Hope that you all join us next week for part 2 and part 3 of this series. I do want to share that in February, we'll be covering PR for small businesses. And then in March, we're going to spend the entire month of March, all 5 weeks, covering TikTok, because I'm not sure if you all have paid attention to the stats that came out of 2021 regarding TikTok. It is the booming platform. And we want to make sure that you making sure you and your business have a presence there and that you're growing your business through that platform as well. So that's what you have to look forward to, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.